Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Maaser Sheni. We're up to Perik Dalad Mishna Alayev. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilun Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Aranbai ben Eliyahu ben Burchai Israelov, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen. Most of this chapter is going to discuss the redemption of Maaser Sheni produce, meaning exchanging the produce for money. The produce becomes chulin, while the money takes on Maaser Sheni sanctity. It must be spent on food in Yerushalayim. Now, when a person redeems his Maaser Sheni produce, he must redeem it for its market price, and sometimes he has to add a fee as well, which we will learn later on in the Mishnayot. This Mishnah now discusses how to determine that price if the produce is moved between different places in which the market price is not the same. Hamolich perot maaser sheni mimakom hayoker lemakom hazol. The Mishnah says if someone takes maaser sheni produce from a place where that produce is expensive to a place where it is cheap, and the Mishna explain, ideally a person should not carry maaser sheni from place to place, because doing so gives the impression that he's searching for the cheapest place to redeem it. So the Rab says he should either redeem it in its original place or bring it to Yerushalayim, but the Mishnah is referring to a person who unlawfully moved it from one place to another, or from a place where it's cheap to a place where it is expensive. He redeems it for the market price in its current location, meaning the location where he performs the redemption, that's the price he follows, whether that price is high or low. And the Mifashim explain, if the produce is in one location and the money is in another, it's redeemed for the market price where the produce is. Similarly, someone brings Maaser Sheni produce from the threshing floor where it's processed to the city where it will be stored. Or someone brings jugs of Maaser Sheni wine from the wine press where it was processed to the city where it will be stored. Now, since food sells for a higher price in the city than at the fields or the wine presses, the Mishnah says, Hashevach Sheni, the additional value that it has in the city is added to the Maaser Sheni, meaning it must be redeemed at the city price, Vitziot mibeto, and the expense of bringing it to the city is paid from the owner's assets, meaning he may not deduct this expense from the value of the produce when he redeems it. And the Mifashim explain, even though he caused the produce to go up in value by bringing it to the city, he may not deduct the expenses of bringing it there from its redemption price. It must be redeemed for its full city value. He may not deduct his expenses, even though it is permissible and necessary to transfer the produce to the city for storage. Certainly, he may not deduct expenses in the Mishnah's first case, where he was not allowed to transfer the produce in the first place. And that is in Rabotai Mishnah Aleph. Mishnah Bet now discusses, even in a single location, the wholesale price for produce will be less than its retail price. So Mishnah now specifies which price is used when redeeming Maaser Sheni. The Mishnah says, Podin Maaser Sheni keshar azol. One may redeem Maaser Sheni at the cheap rate, kimot she'achenvani lokech, meaning the lower wholesale price that the merchant pays to buy goods from his suppliers. Lo kimot she'mocher, a person does not have to redeem the Maaser Sheni at the higher retail price at which the merchant sells the goods to the customers. And the Mifashim explain, this halakha is learned out from the Torah's reference to Maaser Sheni as the product of blessing. As the Rab tells us, the Mifashim explained to us in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 14, Pasuk 24. This reference implies from this Pasuk that Maaser Sheni may be redeemed for the cheapest available price, because when produce is blessed, it's abundant and therefore inexpensive. So the fact that the Torah calls it a product of blessing, we learn out that you redeem it for the cheapest available price. Now, a similar leniency applies when a person transfers the sanctity of Maaser Sheni coins of one denomination onto coins of another denomination. Kemot shulchani foret. A person may exchange his Maaser Sheni coins at the rate that the money changer uses when he takes change, meaning when he takes a small number of coins and gives a larger one in exchange, and not at the rate that the money changer uses when he combines coins, meaning when he gives a number of small coins in exchange for a larger one. And the Mifashim explain, for example, a money changer might charge 25 small silver coins for a sela, But when he gives ma'ot, when he gives small silver coins in exchange for a selah, he will give only 24 ma'ot for one selah. And the Mefarshim explain, just to understand, because the Mishnah uses the Mefarshim use the language of ma'ot, a selah is worth 24 ma'ot, as it tells us in Kiddushin, page 12a. However, when a money changer buys ma'ot, meaning when he takes a customer's ma'ot in exchange for a selah, he charges an extra coin as his fee. Therefore, he takes 25 ma'ot per selah. But when he sells ma'ot, meaning when he gives ma'ot in exchange for a selah, he charges the true value, 24 ma'ot per selah. And therefore, the Mefarshim explain, like we said, for example, therefore, a person who exchanges his Maaser Sheni coins, it comes out from this comparison to the money changer. A person who exchanges his Maaser Sheni coins may use the higher rate of 25 ma'ot per selah. That's actually a leniency. Why? Because now he can exchange 25 ma'ot of Maaser Sheni for a single selah. If he would use the lower rate, he would have to provide a selah for every 24 ma'ot, and it would thus cost him more slaim. Now the Mishnah is referring to a person who's exchanging his ma'ot for his own slaim, because if he goes to a money changer, he's going to have to use whatever rate the money changer chart, whatever the going rate is. Now the Vilshim explain, when a person arrives in Yerushalayim with large coins of Maaser Sheni, he exchanges them again, this time for smaller coins that he's going to use to buy food with, like we discussed in chapter 2, Mishnah 8 and 9. Here too, he may use the more lenient rate of exchange. Therefore, he may go to a money changer to get smaller coins, even though the money changer will give him a lower rate than he originally used when he transfers Maaser Sheni to these coins, because he originally transferred 25 ma'ot onto each selah, and now the money changer is going to give him only 24 ma'ot for each selah. That's not a problem of using the Maaser Sheni coins. Now the Mishnah continues, then podin Maaser Sheni achsara. One may not redeem Maaser Sheni by estimating its value, because even though Maaser Sheni may be redeemed for the lower of two possible prices, that price has to be determined precisely and not by an estimate. So if a person has an unknown quantity of Maaser Sheni produce, he may not determine its price by simply asking a storekeeper, how much would you pay for this basket of produce, the Rav says. Similarly, when a person exchanges Maaser Sheni coins for coins of another denomination, he must determine the exact price for the number of coins he holds. Rather, produce that has a known value in the market must be redeemed based on the precise assessment of one witness, meaning the word of a merchant who is familiar with the market prices. And the Mefarshim explain, an expert merchant must verify the market price for this produce. The owner then counts or weighs the produce and arrives to the exact price. And produce that has no known value in the market, for which additional expertise is needed to assess its value, it must be redeemed based on the precise assessment of three merchants. Kegona yain shekaram. Example would be an example of items that have no known value would be wine that began to sour, upirot shirkivu, or fruits that began to rot, umaot shecheliu, or coins that began to corrode, because these have no readily known market value, and therefore they must be assessed by three merchants. And the Mefarshim explain, produce, wine, or coins that have started to go bad do not have a standard price in the market, because the value depends on how much they deteriorated. So clarifying, it's not so simple, and therefore it requires three experts. And that is in Rabotai today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.